Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services, as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
Wall-to-Wall Wine & Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall-to-Wall Wine & Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
93.7 The Ticket Sports News go now.
I'm Enrique Alvarez-Clary. Nebraska softball continues their torrid start to the season with 5 run rule victories in their 5 games at the Troy Cox Classic in New Mexico. They won their 5 games by a combined score of 69-9, including 2 shutouts and a no-hitter courtesy of Jordy Ball. Nebraska is up to 24 home runs in 10 games, led by Wisconsin transfer Ava Cusack with 8. She tied a Huskers record with 3 versus Montana and had 9 total in her 52 games with the Badgers last year. Next up for the Huskers, the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in Cathedral City, California. They opened that tournament up with Baylor on the 20th at 4:30. Nebraska men's basketball had their largest comeback in nearly 30 seasons as they came back from down 20 points to beat Northwestern on the road 68-64. This is the Huskers' 5th road win this season and their 5th in their last 6 games. Bryce Williams had 21 points and 3 steals, while Jawan Gary was close behind with 17 points, going 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Nebraska men's basketball faces Penn State in-state college on the 19th at 5:30 on the Big Ten Network. 23rd ranked Nebraska baseball began their season down in Arizona and are off to a 2-1 start with a 10-5 loss to UC Irvine, followed by a 6-4 win over number 16 Vanderbilt and a 13-0 win over San Diego State. Nebraska baseball takes on Grand Canyon at 2 p.m. today, and that game can be seen on ESPN Plus and heard on the Huskers Radio Network.
Roderick set. Here's the pitch. Line drive towards second. Caden Grosbaugh's there. He squeezes the line drive. And on a night filled with emotion, honoring our leader, Greg Sharp, with his eyes on the diamond and his hands on our shoulders, Nebraska takes down 16th ranked Vanderbilt 6-4. Sharpie, that one is for you.
The upset victory over Vanderbilt on Saturday, February 15th came with an added bit of motivation and emotion, as it was announced that longtime voice of Nebraska football and baseball, Greg Sharp, had passed away on Friday. Sharp had been the voice for football and baseball since 2008 and was recently recognized as the 2024 Nebraska Sportscaster of the Year, as well as being honored with the Greg Sharp radio booth inside Memorial Stadium. In a statement, the Sharp family said, quote, "While the public knew him for his booming voice and infectious personality, those closest to him knew him for his loyalty and dedication to them. Over the last 12 months, Greg has fought a very public battle with pancreatic cancer. Even though it was a grim diagnosis at the time, Greg chose to live and not to fear." End quote. He was 61.
This is On the Block with Strick and Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NIPA. This is On the Block.
Oh, welcome in to it. This is On the Block, brought to you by NIPCO. I'm Austin Norman. To my right on stream, my partner, E. Strick. We were with you about 23 hours ago, recapping Nebraska and Northwestern. We will certainly get back into that. What a crazy game. And then look at the road ahead for Nebraska. 5 games remaining for the Huskers in Big Ten conference play before postseason play starts, starting with the Big Ten tournament. Nebraska in good position now to qualify that after being on the brink just a couple short weeks ago. We'll look at the road ahead after we look back at yesterday afternoon's game as well. Recruiting conversation with Brian Munson. Been a couple weeks since we talked to him. Lots to get to with E. Muntz on the Nebraska football recruiting front. Some thoughts from him on that. Then at 4 o'clock, it'll be me and Jay going over the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee's top 16 seeds and the Athletic graded college football coaching hires. So that'll be hour 2 of today's show. 402-464-5685. If you've got any thoughts on anything we're talking about, would love to hear from you. Let's open the floor up. E. Strick, hope you're doing well. Hope you're warm. Hope you're comfy, cozy, safe, all that good stuff. Nebraska beats Northwestern by 4 after being down by 20. Anything else come to mind for you thinking back on that game yesterday?
Oh, well, it was impressive, to say the least. You're talking about a team that has been in an amusement park of emotions with how the season has been going. To start off the way that you did, still trying to figure some things out, probably had some of the most depth that you've had in a while with a lot of your transfer portal guys coming over to become Huskers, dealing with injuries, important injuries in your front court, losing 6 games straight. And then there's been times where you've been in this situation where you've been down and you didn't have the resolve to close out and finish a comeback, or you got close and you just couldn't get over the hump. That Northwestern game, Northwestern played well. Look, they played one of their, good games as far as being on the attack, trying to keep themselves in position for a Big Ten tournament run to get in. And you fought it off in their home gym. It didn't look like it was going well for you at all. It wasn't that they were shooting lights out. You just were not playing with a high level of intensity. And it seemed as if it took Fred Hoiberg to do something to his hand that kind of lit a fire under you guys. And then you came out in the second half and really clawed back into the game. And I think they did it systematically. You spoke on the post-game show how they only had the lead for like a minute and 30 seconds?
Yeah.
A minute and 52 seconds. That's amazing because that's that. You know how they say, how do you eat an elephant, right? And it's one piece at a time. And that's what it seemed like in that game. It wasn't that they were trying to do it, because you can't get it back in, you're down 20. You don't get that back in one shot. There's not a 20-point shot. There isn't a 4-point shot. You literally clawed back. You did it by attacking, getting to the free throw line. Those are the ways that you do it. Why? Because the clock stops. You're getting points. You're making your free throws. Outside of the early bus struggle from Andrew Morgan, you pretty much were dang near flawless in the free throw department. And it was a little scary at one point. Bryce, a 90% free throw shooter, misses the front end of a 1-and-1. I think that was to either take the lead. I think it might have been a tie game, put you ahead. It's a little bit more of a comfortable space there. And you held down one of their better guys in Ty Berry. when it mattered. You got the stops, you got the loose balls, you got the rebounds, even though you got killed on the offensive glass. That's huge resilience, man, in a comeback victory on the road.
It really is. Couple things to get you off of what you said there. First of all, Stricky, did you ever have a coach punch a whiteboard, punch a wall, break a clipboard?
Yeah. I think Danny did that. I know Don Nelson did it. Not with their hand. Also, they didn't do it Bruce Lee style. You know what I'm saying? With the whatever that punch he had, that where he sends people flying 10 feet back after he just does that. It wasn't that, but it was definitely a slamming of the board. I think probably Terry Porter might have. Yeah, I've seen a few guys get pretty upset. Sometimes when you're a professional and somebody does that, depending on who they are, sometimes a lot of professional dudes look like you a clown. But college guys is a little bit different. It might kind of perk you up, get your attention a little bit, and it seemed that definitely got the attention of the Huskers on that day. Especially
from a coach like Fred Hoiberg, who keeps his composure pretty darn well. If he's going to react, you'll know how he's feeling, but he's not going to be full Tom Izzo, full Mick Cronin, even Brad Underwood, red in the face, screaming, hooting and hollering. Fred Hoiberg does a good job of sticking up for his guys on the court, but he doesn't throw hissy fits. He doesn't do stuff like that. So, Strick, I think that's maybe the most impactful part of all of this is Nebraska got Fred Hoiberg so pissed off, he broke character. And they needed that spark. Clearly, it worked after the first media timeout. So, I mean, credit Fred Hoiberg too, Strick. I think that is part of emotional intelligence too. Maybe Fred was just pissed. He wasn't thinking about it, punches the whiteboard out of frustration. But I want to give Fred Hoiberg credit for that, for knowing what his team needs and finding the right moment to go berserk. Not all coaches have that levity, that emotional intelligence to know when to flip that switch. And I'm going to go ahead and credit Fred Hoiberg for that one yesterday.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. The ladies go on the road out to Champaign, take an L. The men were able to also be on the road and to come back with a victory. They both still got some work to do. They find themselves in the middle of the pack, and now it's about improvement. It's about when you want to play. You definitely don't want to be on the bottom half of the Big Ten tournament, because obviously that's 5 games you've got to win in order to even put yourself in position. That's really tough. So you definitely you don't want to have to play on that first night at a minimum. I don't know if with what they have left on their schedule, it's possible that they can make a run. They've shown that they could run off some games. And the first step to that is going on the road and doing what they did. They've got another opportunity coming up. I think it's going to be a quad 2 possibility for them. They've done well in the quad 1s. They're dang near 500 on those as far as, getting those good quality wins. Now it's about not only Big Ten seeding, but it's about trying to put your stamp on getting into the big dance. And that's going to require you to put in some work on these last games. You can't have lackadaisical approaches. You can't come out lethargic. You really got to be honed in and focused. It just depends on what you're going to want and how you want to fare, and who do you want to play and where do you want to play ultimately.
That's a good spot to lead us into this, Strick, because if you look at the last 5 games of the regular season for Nebraska, only one of them will come against a team ahead of Nebraska in the Big Ten standings. That'll be a week from tonight when Nebraska hosts Michigan, who's a game up on Michigan State, game and a half up on Purdue for the lead in the Big Ten right now. The Wolverines are sitting at 20-5. But the game coming up here in a couple days, Strick, on Wednesday, is at Penn State. They, right now, are alone in last place. They are a game worse than Northwestern at 3-12. So Penn State, what do they have to fight for? A chance to go to Indianapolis and play in the Big Ten tournament. They welcome Nebraska to their building on Wednesday. Plenty to play for Penn State in that regard. And then after that, Strick, your remaining games after Penn State and in Michigan are the next 2. You get Minnesota. Got to win that one. That's another team that's right on that kind of cut line for the Big Ten tournament. Really struggling. Have a couple decently impressive wins, but Nebraska can't afford to lose that one. A road trip to Ohio State, who's tied with Nebraska in overall record right now in the Big Ten at 7 wins and 8 losses. Nebraska does for now hold the tiebreaker over the Buckeyes by virtue of the win at Pinnacle Bank Arena just a couple weeks ago. And then Iowa, a team that has the same conference record as Minnesota at 5-9. And that's a team that Nebraska owes, Strick, for the way that game went down in Iowa City, where Iowa started hot, Nebraska built a 15-point lead, and then watched it not even slowly dwindle, but rapidly evaporate in Iowa City before ultimately losing by 10 points in overtime. So, Strick, when you mentioned the good metrics for Nebraska, right, darn near 500 in quad one in a power conference, legitimate power conference, those are good. 5 road wins on the year, more than Nebraska had all of last year. They're already putting in a little bit more work than last year's team in that regard. But outside of Michigan, Strick, these games that Nebraska is going to play can only hurt them because they're below Nebraska in the standings. Teams trying to, like you said, use Nebraska as the step stool to step up or try to get back even in the Big Ten tournament picture. So Nebraska has to avoid that. Nebraska is absolutely more of the hunted instead of the hunter coming down the stretch again, aside from probably a week from today against Michigan. And that's where if you look at Nebraska at 7-8 right now, I would say, Strick, getting to 12-8 would be a huge ask. You know, winning these next 5 games, I don't know if Nebraska is going to be able to do that. Is it possible? Yes. If Nebraska gets to 12-8 in the league by winning out the rest of the regular season, job well done. They're probably knocking on the door of an 8 seed, maybe even a 7 seed, depending on how the Big Ten tournament goes. If Nebraska only loses to Michigan, that's probably handling business, doing what you're supposed to do. I could even see Nebraska going 3-2 in this next stretch, right? If you lose to a conference leading Michigan, go on the road and say lose in Value City Arena in Columbus to Ohio State. No harm, no foul necessarily in that. Would love to get another quad one road win, but those won't kill Nebraska. Really, Strick, if Nebraska wins the 3 games that right now we would say Nebraska should win, on the road at Penn State, at home against Minnesota, and at home against Iowa, that gets Nebraska to an even 10-10 in Big Ten play. And plain and simple, Strick, I think that helps Nebraska pass the eye test more than anything. Not a deep dive into the metrics or the resume or anything like that, but people on the outside who maybe don't follow much mid-tier Big Ten basketball will look at Nebraska. They'll see a team that would be 20-11. Okay, you hit the magical 20-win mark if you win those 3 games you're supposed to. You're 500 in conference play, and you did that even with a 6-game losing streak. No, these games aren't going to help Nebraska behind the scenes with these numbers that the selection committee is looking at. But I think winning 3 of the next 5 games would really help Nebraska just pass the bare minimum kind of baseline eye test for a neutral kind of distant observer of the team.
Well, yeah, and again, like you said, I think the key thing is just to kind of remain where they're at. And I would say you should be looking at each of these games. You're probably not going to catch UCLA. You might if you go on a win streak and you run off, the next 5 games and maybe only lose to. That gives you a shot, an outside chance of getting there. To me, that's not the goal. I think the goal is to stay at even par with Illinois and Oregon. And if you do that, you have the advantage in those because you have the matchup wins. Mm-hmm. And so that would be key. The reason being, I think I look at that is because you're probably not going to get to a bye at this point. But you want to play probably the lesser of the seeds as you can by moving up into that second tier level and being towards the top end of it, right? Mm-hmm. Second out or first out is always going to be better because I think, like you said, in passing the eye test, you want to also make sure that you get a game if you can in the Big Ten. That pretty much. That solidifies you. You know what I mean? Okay, you get into the semis, and you come up. It's you might win and you don't. I mean, we saw them on the verge of getting to the finals last year, and so that puts you in a good position. I think that solidifies you in tapping, in punching your ticket into the dance. So that's I think the goal is to maintain and keep your eye on both Oregon and Illinois. And that means not only taking care of the games that you need to. You're going to get Michigan at home. You've had Purdue. You've had the best of the best in your home. You've performed. You beat some of the best. It's going to require you to play have tremendous effort and play a wonderful game. But at the same time, if you can pull it off, that's even going to make your ticket even better. So those are the things that I think they should be looking at.
Nebraska right now sits in 8th in the Big Ten by virtue of the tiebreakers that Strick was talking about. It's Michigan, Michigan State, Purdue, Wisconsin, Maryland, and UCLA, all with double-digit wins. Illinois right now sits in 7th place with a 9-7 record in conference play. 3-team logjam at 7-8. That's Oregon, Nebraska, Ohio State. USC just a half game back at 6-8. Indiana a full game back at 6-9. So still plenty of movement potential in the Big Ten. But Strick, I do think too we can start to look a little bit big picture for Nebraska here too, with what Nebraska lost in Keisei Tominaga and the rink mast injury, losing contributors in Jamarcus Lawrence and CJ Wilcher last year. If you'd have told me that Nebraska finishes in that top half of the Big Ten, no, it's not, top 3 like they finished last year. But for this program, finishing in the top half of the Big Ten, I still think would be another step in the right direction in a big picture sense. Yes, year to year, maybe a slight step backwards, but I think finishing in the top half, maintaining what they're doing now, I think that would be a really fantastic step for this program, again, on the heels of a 6-game losing streak in conference play.
Yeah, because it's not easy. There's not a better lesson that you can learn, Austin, than having adversity. Internal adversity, win-loss adversity, losing games in a tough way, not playing well, getting blown out in some road games. Those can really have an effect on the psyche of players. So for me, the way that they've come through it has shown you've got to tip your hat to the coaching staff and continuing to get those guys prepared. Guys that probably haven't played a lot, still having a readiness whenever they're called upon.
Like Gavin Griffiths yesterday.
Yeah, and Jacobson coming in for a short stint. That's not easy. That's not easy to do, but just having a readiness, keeping yourself ready to go that's a professional mentality. That's what you've got to do. I mean, you could go games on games without having a chance, and the rotations are set. So what you got to do is you got to stay in shape. You got to continue to keep your game crisp. You got to, when your name's called upon, if an injury happens, you got to really have a next up mentality, and an injury has happened. So it's caused the rotation a little bit to kind of be out of whack. But now I think they found something. I think they found some things, some ways to use Mia more effectively. You'll probably see them draw up some stuff that after seeing 2 alley-oop dunks, which I've been waiting on. I watched the film on the young man when he was at Washington. I was like, okay, yeah, let's go. We've got something there. I was like, excellent. And so, at this point, man, we've got to take advantage of that, man. Make sure that man gets deep post. If you get 8 points, couple free throws out of him, and 7-8 boards out of Mia in 20 minutes or so, you're on to something.
I think so too. I mean, he played 23 minutes yesterday, had 10 and 7, a couple blocks as well. Fred Hoiberg called it his best game at Nebraska. A couple things from the text line, and then we'll get out of here and have a conversation with Brian Munson on Nebraska football recruiting. 6090 says top 9 get a bye, right? Yeah. So of course, with the new tournament format for the Big Ten, 15 teams will go, 3 will stay home. So the top 9 teams will get a bye, but I don't even really want to consider that. Essentially, it would be the bottom 6 teams playing in the Big Ten's equivalent of the first 4, like you see with the NCAA tournament in Dayton. So you have essentially a play-in game for the bottom 6 teams. They would take on then 1, 2, and 3. And then the top 4 teams will receive the double bye, like they're used to in the traditional Big Ten format. Then Thunderknock Collins, appreciate you chiming in here on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. He says, if that's what it takes for Nebraska to wake up at the beginning of the game instead of halftime, I will start a GoFundMe to buy enough whiteboards to last Nebraska the rest of the season. Yes, Let's do it. Get it going. Make sure Fred has plenty of whiteboards on standby. And Stricky, he also says you were referring to the Bruce Lee 1-inch punch.
Yeah, the 1-inch punch. See, that's one thing I love about the blockheads, man. The blockheads will pick up the slack whenever there's something that you may have off. They're gonna tell you, and I love that about the blockheads. Thank you for that.
One of many things we love about our great listeners that we affectionately refer to as the blockheads. Thanks to Nebco for sponsoring the show. Check them out at nebcoinc.com. We'll take a break. When we get back, Brian Munson of Husker Online is the guest. He'll join us, talk some Husker football recruiting, and maybe a little more on the other side.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports has quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Mulberry Barbecue now has a brand new second location to help all your lunch and dinner cravings. Stop by their newest location at 6125 Apples Way near Lowe's off of Highway 2. They have everything from smoked turkey sandwiches to brisket burritos to burn-in sandwiches and pulled pork. Try a dinner plate option of barbecue nachos, a half-smoked chicken, a full slab of ribs, and so much more. Mulberry Barbecue open Monday to Saturday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m. at 11th and Cornhusker Highway and now at 6125 Apples Way in South Lincoln.
Hey volleyball fans, this is Laura Dijkema, national player of the Netherlands and now the setter on Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering for us in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action. Go Big Green!
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and on behalf of the entire Koppel team, we would like to say thank you to all of our loyal customers and employees that have allowed us to become one of the most successful GM dealerships in the country for the past 50 years. So we are celebrating that with some huge discounts. Right now, we have up to $13,500 off MSRP or 0% APR on select new models, and new Blazer EVs are leasing for $279 a month with zero down. So check us out online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit. See dealer for details.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen, Stein Stamina, and much more. Bach beer will be flowing, and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m., and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $5 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for this Saturday's Bachfest.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with the child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome back in. This is On the Block, brought to you by Nebco. We are headed to our VIP line, brought to you by Aloe Fiber. That's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. We go there now. It's been a couple weeks, but we're glad to have Brian Munson of Husker Online on the horn with us. Brian, you spent most of the last couple days, at least this time last week, in Nashville. How was that, my friend?
It rained the entire time. No, it was fine. I mean, lots of things have changed since I was there 4 or 5 years ago. Lots of interesting things there in the downtown area, but got to see the On3 headquarters, which was awesome. And came home and got sick as a dog. I'm literally just starting to climb back into like regular life today, because I had such bad like body aches. Like on Friday, I didn't want to get out of bed. It was so bad. I was negative for flu, negative for COVID, all of it. It was a very, very odd scenario, but whatever that virus was I had, it was not fun.
So are we blaming Nashville? Are you going to stay away in the future, or are you headed back?
I think that's going to be an annual trip for me, as long as they'll keep having me come back. It was a very productive little trip to talk about the direction, of the company and things that they're working on, and, how to be better in different spaces, and comparatively what people are doing across the platform, and advancements in what they're going to be delivering IT wise. It was actually very insightful to kind of see that kind of behind the scenes stuff. And it's refreshing, like hearing like Shannon Terry and his son, Jack Terry, and Will Crowell, who's another big exec there, kind of walk you through it, because they're, as much as they are execs, they were like really like boots on the ground. They were very involved. So that's actually a really nice feeling, knowing that there's not this massive amount of distance between real boots on the ground and those guys that are kind of taking the feedback and paying the bills.
We love that for you. We love your work at Husker Online, and glad you spent some time with us here on the block. We haven't talked since it became official that you're NFL quarterback, NFL MVP. Your reaction to Josh Allen winning NFL MVP this year, Brian?
My reaction was I went out and I bought an autographed jersey.
Nice. Yes.
I went and got a pretty nice one, and I struggle with putting the jerseys into the cases themselves. So I think I'm going to get this one professionally done, and already got like a new space. I'm going to have to clear some room here in my office here a little bit. And it's mainly just a Nebraska man cave in my office, but going to have to allocate a little bit of space here to Josh Allen and put something up over here on this other wall. So I'm trying to figure it all out. I need to try to find somebody down here that can do it for me.
Pretty incredible for Josh Allen to come all the way from 4 turnovers against Nebraska at Wyoming to NFL MVP, huh?
It really is. I mean, honestly, the reaction that you still see, like when the fans are kind of like reacting to the pick and then they're dejected, the one guy pulls his hat off and they're like thinking they're in this this funk that they're never going to get out of, from the JP Lossmans of the world to, I can't remember who the other couple of those quarterbacks were in the 90s that were just terrible. And just, they just didn't really have a first rounder, maybe Eric Moulds, maybe Lee Evans, like were a couple guys that really did their thing, but they missed on some other ones. They missed on some really, really big ones. So I think that there was just, they've been looking for a really productive first round draft pick. And initially that the feedback was they didn't think that Josh would be the guy. So glad that he is, certainly glad that he is, but I love so far, like the mock drafts that I've been looking at, guys, because it's like, it's doing exactly what I would do. Buffalo's got to go back, and you don't score 29 and lose because of offense. You're losing because you're allowing 30 or more. So you've got to go get better inside. You need somebody next to Ed Oliver, and you need some help on the corner. You need some help in the secondary in general, safety position. And Milano's not getting any younger, and he's a little bit more injury prone the last couple of years. So figure that situation out. But I would spend my first 3 of the first 5 rounds, on the defensive side of the football. That'd be where my picks were going.
I think that's a completely valid strategy. While we're on quarterbacks, Brian, I do want your opinion on the Dylan Raiola and Emmett Johnson barnstorming tour. They've been everywhere this offseason. What do you make of their involvement in the local hoop scene, Lincoln, Omaha, other professional sporting events out at Nebraska events all the time? Is that guys enjoying college? Is that guys taking advantage of the opportunities? Or is that guys maybe doing too much and feeding too much into the limelight? How are you looking at that?
No, I think he's genuinely interested and enthusiastic about what's going on there, the local scene. I think both those guys are very genuine individuals, first of all. And I think that when those opportunities have kind of come up to get out and maybe pay homage to, the local high school teams that the parents and the kids are going to be there watching them play in the fall, it's kind of a way for them to kind of pay it back, to kind of give them that kind of attention. I think it's wonderful for the high schools. I think it's great for obviously the university. I don't think it's going to hurt those guys NIL at all. For those guys to be showing up and hanging out with those places as well. So I think that this is just two guys that are enthusiastic. They're probably looking forward to getting a little more involved in the spring ball practices, and until then, they're going to spend their time in the high school gyms, making sure that everybody else is kind of feeling the load from them.
Kind of the Ed Foley role, but taken on the players' shoulders. Is that fair?
Very true. I think that that's a great comparison.
It's interesting, too, because Ed Foley, he's still on the Nebraska staff in some capacity, isn't he?
He is. I think it's pretty well thought out, too, because it's, you remember like when Matt Rule introduced Mike Eckler, mm-hmm. and he specifically said a non-recruiting role. Well, okay. Well, we all know that Eckler's a pretty solid recruiter. Think about the Will Compton story. He's obviously recruited other dudes at Nebraska, at Tennessee. He was a good recruiter for the Volunteers. He's seen a lot of different territories. Since he left Nebraska, UNT, Oklahoma, USC, Georgia, Indiana. I mean, he's been to 4 or 5 really big, solid, strong schools, So he's had a chance, an opportunity to kind of do some different things. So I think, though, what this means is if Ed Foley did like one thing that had everybody excited about it, it was his window time and dedication to the local high schools in Nebraska. And it sounds like there will be some sort of like a local Nebraska area high schools, kind of like coordinator or contact or something. And that's going to be probably the role he'll be sitting in and helping out the staff with just kind of making sure that everybody's kind of getting the community relations that he was offering up before in his previous gig.
That's pretty cool. I'm glad that Nebraska found a role for him that he's going to be able to succeed at like that. I mean, that's something that you said was very popular among fans and clearly isn't going to hurt the program with all that involvement, that engagement. But speaking of involvement and engagement on special teams, is that just the biggest thing that Mike Eckler brings, is getting more buy-in on special teams, more energy, more enthusiasm for it? Is it something schematic he's going to bring? What's the biggest point of the Eckler addition on special teams for Nebraska?
Well, I think he's an energetic guy. I mean, he's, a year or two older than I am. And actually we crossed paths somewhere back down the line in high school, if I recall. I think that's number one. I think he's always been a high energy guy. And I think when it comes to special teams and strength and conditioning coordinators, it helps to have that characteristic, that trait. I think the other side of it is too, he's passionate. He's a passionate coach that looks forward to coaching that entire team, because special teams is the entire team with just a few exceptions. He has availability to him to grab the best players across the various cross sections of the team and put the overall group in a situation to win and be good. And I think he looks forward to those first 15 minutes of every practice, of going through that with them all. I think he looks forward to coaching the team, but being a coordinator. It's a unique kind of thing. I think his feeling about how he is going to go ahead and go about it and how he goes about his business. But truly, he's been effective. I mean, he's had really good numbers at Tennessee. And I think getting home, obviously for him, it's probably one of those kind of glad it came back around kind of deals. Fortunate that it happened, but honestly, there wasn't really another guy as we kind of look back at it again and kind of heard some other names about some other people, but there really was another guy, in my opinion, that could come in there, I think, and do the kind of job that needs to be done other than Mike Eckler. I mean, he's got my stamp of approval. I think he's going to really come in there. He's going to win the hearts and minds of the guys. He's so relatable, former player, former walk-on, with a mohawk and face paint, looking like a road warrior. And he will be absolutely fine when some of the guys kind of get down and talk to him and kind of can relate to some things personally with him.
We're talking with Brian Munson of Husker Online here on our Allo Fiber VIP line. Brian, I do want to get to something that just got posted this morning. I'm really excited for this series, getting to know the 2025 Husker signees. You put one up about Jeremiah Jones. I think that's a really fascinating prospect, big athletic guy. And at the bottom of this article, he mentions that he's going to play receiver, start out at least as a wide receiver. What do you make of that decision? Was that a Nebraska decision? Was that a Jeremiah Jones decision? How much collaboration on that decision was there? And what's your outlook for him at the wide receiver position?
I think Nebraska was tossing and turning with it anyway. I mean, I think that they first envisioned him as an in-the-box safety. He's a tremendous athlete. He's a big dude. But I think as time kind of went on, and as you saw the film that I embedded in that story, he's gifted. He's a gifted route runner. He runs effortlessly. He's the kind of guy that is going to be really fun to watch because, he goes straight from football into basketball. And if you give this guy some time to kind of get into an off-season program, get into a training table, see what kind of happens, you could really have yourself kind of that big jumbo X looking guy that could probably swing down to a Y like a Carter Nelson, he's just super long and athletic and has got great ball tracking and great hands. Not saying he couldn't play defense, but I think that this was just kind of we need a guy like that on that side of the football. We're not going to have another guy like that, right away. So, and he's got some really, really high standards. I mean, for himself, he's talking about 7 touchdowns, 400 yards or 700 yards receiving, I think it was, and 45 some odd catches or whatever. I mean, he was very specific, but he was one of those guys too that alluded to the fact that down the stretch, he was getting it from at least one school that was really negatively recruiting against Nebraska. I love that question, by the way, in that questionnaire.
Yeah. It's
like, tell me somebody was saying something bad about Nebraska. And it was just like, oh yeah, that happened. And it's really fun to kind of get into that. He kept his cards a little bit closer to the chest on that one, but he at least let the cat out of the bag. And I think we probably all could look at one another and just kind of nod and say it was Missouri, but whatever. So no, he's going to be an interesting one to watch. Only thing I think going against him on that one is just that, he's not an early enroller. So it'll be very interesting to see, when he gets to campus, what's he looking like? What kind of shape is he in? How quickly can he assimilate all the things that he needs to have to really be that big of a factor in the fall?
I'm not going to say he can't get the 40 whatever catches, 7 touchdowns and 700 yards, but I do think that's going to be a bit of a long shot, Brian, just because of the other guys Nebraska, brought in at that position. You think about Isaiah Hunter from Cal, the 2 Kentucky guys in Dane Key and Hardly Gilmore the 4th. on top of a pretty established couple receivers already and on the program as well. What's the vision? What's the message for Jeremiah Jones during this offseason once he gets to campus, then throughout the season? What's the vision of a player? Who's the comp that if you're in Nebraska, you're trying to sell him, he can be the next whoever in a year after when it's his time?
Ooh, that's a great question. Well, you hope that Carter Nelson has the type of numbers and type of season that we all kind of dreamt about this year, next year. Mm-hmm. And that you can kind of keep Jeremiah watching that guy, because Carter's not a true Y. He's not a true tight. He's somewhere between an X and a Y.
He's a football player, like Matt Rule would say.
And I'll tell you what, so is Jeremiah. Jeremiah is a guy that you could snap the ball to him in a wildcat, and he'll go crazy. I mean, maybe you don't need Heinrich Harburg at quarterback at all this fall for any type of direct snap stuff, because you'll have Jeremiah Jones. I mean, Jeremiah runs the wildcat very well from other film that's on his huddle. So he's a very interesting dude. But I would say, hopefully, you're telling him, we're not going to pigeonhole you. We're not going to pick you into a corner. We want to go ahead and leave all the possibilities out in front of you. So come in here, do what you do, watch this guy, and I would point to Carter, and I would say, we see you athletically as being very similar sized, and the ability to kind of do all these other things with you on the football field. No limit. And that's how I would kind of just phrase it up to him.
I love it. I love that vision. I love that thought. And I'm looking forward to reading more and more of these profiles, Brian. Any other guys from the 25 class that you're excited to get their questionnaires back and go through and then publish?
Yeah, in fact, the one I kind of did it out of order. I talked to everybody except for one person. Could not get a hold of them before they enrolled. And I thought I had run all the early enrollers already. So I think I might be getting to Dawson Merritt tonight.
Ooh.
And that's a really good one. That's a very good one, obviously. So Dawson Merritt's coming up. And probably Sean Hammerbeck's one. I actually already ran Sean Hammerbeck's. Hammerbeck was another one that was not an early enroller, but I already ran it. It was super good because I didn't realize he had an appendicitis and lost a bunch of weight before the season started. So these are very, very insightful, detailed stuff, particularly now since we don't talk about those guys after August 1st.
Fair enough. Yeah, well, we will definitely make sure we point people to Husker Online to keep reading those and see which ones that come out next. Excited for those as well. Brian, stay on the road to recovery. Hope you keep getting better, my friend. Thanks for mustering the energy, finding the time to talk to us here today. We'll do it again soon.
No costs on the air, man. I can't believe it.
You're a champ. You're a people's pro. We appreciate it, Brian. Talk to you again soon.
See you guys.
Brian joined us on our VIP line, brought to you by Aloe Fiber. That's where they understand the importance of exceptional service with local heart. Take a quick break. Bring E Strick back in. Jay Foreman into the top of the hour here during On the Block.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits is your place in North Lincoln to go for all your needs in wine, spirits, and beer. They also have a large variety of cigars in their walk-in humidor, and they have a top-notch walk-in, temperature-controlled, high-end wine bar. Plus, you can enjoy free samples from their tasting bar. There's only one place to go for all your needs for wine, beer, spirits, and cigars. Wall to Wall Wine and Spirits on North 27th Street in Lincoln.
Hi, Sean Callahan here for Koppel Chevrolet GMC, and on behalf of the entire Koppel team, we would like to say thank you to all of our loyal customers and employees that have allowed us to become one of the most successful GM dealerships in the country for the past 50 years. So we are celebrating that with some huge discounts. Right now, we have up to $13,500 off MSRP or 0% APR on select new models, and new Blazer EVs are leasing for $279 a month with zero down. So check us out online at koppelcars.com. All deals with approved credit. See dealer for details.
Automotive Solutions is Lincoln's one-stop shop for all your vehicle needs, from vinyl wraps to engine repair and maintenance. Automotive Solutions offers fleet services, as well as printing and graphic design for vinyl applications, plus installation of vinyl for boats, trucks, cars, and anything else you want wrapped. Perfection is their standard, and they never settle for less. Call today at 531-249-5600 or go to automotivesolutionslincoln.com to learn more. That's Automotive Solutions, 2024 Southwest 5th Street in Lincoln.
Perch Merch is your one-stop shop for all your printing and promotional needs in Lincoln, Nebraska. They specialize in screen printing, embroidery, vehicle wraps, window wraps, print collateral, promotional products, and signage. At Perch Merch, they are committed to delivering high-quality products and exceptional customer service. Their experienced team of designers and printing professionals will work with you every step of the way to ensure that your vision is realized. Call for a quote today at 402-217-5212 or go to perch-merch.com.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Brought to you by Bryant Air Conditioning, Heating, Electrical, and Plumbing.
Your Lincoln forecast for today: snow likely throughout the day. It'll be breezy and cold with a high of just 6 above. Tonight, chance of snow. It'll be cold, below of 7 below. And tomorrow, snow likely throughout the day with continued cold temperatures, a high of just 1 above. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen, Stein Stamina, and much more. Bach beer will be flowing, and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m., and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $5 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for this Saturday's Bachfest.
Empower a child today with the Teammates Mentoring Program. Hope is only a conversation away when you choose to share your talent, time, and heart with a child. Together, you can build a relationship based on strengths and chart a brighter future, 1 week at a time. Find out how you can be a mentor by visiting LincolnTeammates.org. Become what you needed as a kid by joining the Teammates Mentoring Program today.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
Rain, snow, or shine, John Henry's is here to keep your home's plumbing systems working properly no matter what kind of weather Nebraska throws at us. From unclogging toilets and drains to installing new water heaters and water treatment systems, John Henry's is your plumbing expert in the Lincoln and Omaha communities. Visit us at calljh.com or call
John Henry's.
435-5555. John Henry's Plumbing, Heating and Air,
and Electrical.
Your home is your empire. Protect it with Empire Fence. Get a free instant quote with the online estimating tool at empire-fence.com. See an upfront estimate with no hidden fees. An Empire Fence can provide privacy and improve the appearance of your home. Keep kids and pets in or out of your yard. Increase security and add value to your property. Visit empire-fence.com now to view the stylish and maintenance-free possibilities for your home and get a free instant online quote. Let Empire Fence protect your empire.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
Welcome back in. One final segment here of On the Block for hour one. Austin Norman rejoined now by Eric Strickland. Big thanks to Brian Munson for hopping on the line, chatting some Husker football, recruiting, and other topics with us. Appreciate Brian making the move with us as well to our new time slot from 3 to 5. Easterick, you and I were going back and forth a little bit on this before the show, and it was mostly about what we didn't see in the NBA All-Star game. What a joke. What a travesty. We've talked about it, how bad it's gotten, but there were 42 minutes of basketball action across the 3-hour All-Star broadcast. If you can even call it basketball, it wasn't good. I didn't even bother to watch. Like, I have not heard one positive thing said about the NBA All-Star game really this entire weekend. It's kind of insane.
Yeah, there were friends asking me if I was going to go, and I know people in the San Francisco area, and I actually was there when the Vince Carter. I was at that All-Star game when Vince Carter won the dunk contest, and it was good. The games used to be at least some form of competitiveness. I mean, you would go, the first couple of quarters, it'd be some back and forth, and a lot of people have been posting like specifically the 90s. I think it was 1990 All-Star game, and you were seeing guys going at each other, Ewing against Olajuwon, blocking shots, Barkley not giving up easy buckets. It was blocking, it was rips, it was steals, it was fast break, it was fun, it was active. This is in the earlier parts of the game. And then you get into the later part of the game, and then it got intense. Like you could see a shift. I think the last time you really saw someone going at each other is a young LeBron James, and Kobe Bryant was really, taking onus to lock him down, and he did so. And though that was some intensity in it, but it's become real, just terrible to watch. It's not interesting. It's no fun. And then you listen to guys like Paul George, who is talking about, you understand that guys want to, have some time off and take a vacation and all that stuff, but man, you've gotten to a point now. I mean, you guys get paid for that. I mean, you get bonuses for that. There's a lot of things that come with being an all-star that you get that's beneficial to you as a player. And I think what's been lost, Austin, to be honest, has been an understanding of the fans. Like when we were coming up and we understood that you are the product. You are CEO Eric Strickland, your brand, in collaboration with other players and their brand, and you are the product. And they've lost touch with that. They've lost touch, and they've kind of become an entitled bunch of guys out there now that don't understand that those who are watching you are the ones that are taking care of your astronomical salaries, right? And you've lost sight of that. And so that's what's been going on with this stuff. Now, I will say you hate to see it the way that it happened, but Matt McClung, I've got to say, I mean, shout out to Castle too, did his thing. But Matt McClung, the other two, I was like, you're going to have to get guys in there that really care. Guys would love to see a John Morant or a Zion Williamson, and those guys feel that they're beyond that stuff now, and they're not. It's all a part of your branding. And Matt McClung, 3 in a row, shout out to him. He dang near saved the dunk contest. The 3-point contest was interesting. But those are the best parts. Saturday night's the best part of the game because Saturday is horrible. I mean, Sunday's horrible. Yeah. So Sunday's horrible.
Sunday is absolutely no good.
When everybody's more excited. Also, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. I wanted to add this other piece. When everybody's more excited at the celebrity game than they are the All-Star game, then you've got problems.
Yeah, that part. We'll wrap up this segment with this. Nebraska and Grand Canyon baseball tied at 1. They're in the top of the 8th inning. Nebraska just got out of runners on second and third with 1 out in the bottom of the 7th inning. I do take just a minute here real quick and say rest in peace, Greg Sharp. Condolences, thoughts, prayers to the Sharp family. Obviously, that was some tough news that rocked Husker Nation this weekend. My connection to Greg was I was an intern at Husker Sports Network before it moved in-house. I was a producer, and Greg was never anything but great to me. That was an awesome 3.5, 4 years learning from him. Gonna miss him. I know I'm not the only one who left an impact on reading the stories on social media and everything. Great dude. I can vouch for that personally. Would not be anywhere close to where I am without the mentorship and the reps that I got, alongside Greg, working underneath him and the chances he gave me. Eternally grateful for that. And I know Greg now is eternally at peace. I know that, cliche to say he's in a better place. it was a struggle. He made it. He fought the good fight. He ran the good race. We're going to miss him, but like I signed off in my little thread on Twitter, I know Greg's gonna save us a seat up there in heaven's press box. So rest in peace, Greg Sharp. Can't wait to see you again in heaven someday, Sharpie. We'll go to break on the block hour 2 when we get back.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up. This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com. On the internet, KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
At Fairway Meat Market, you're family, and as part of the family, they want to save you money on your meat and groceries. Fairway has fresh cut meats, seafood, cheese, wine, and spirits, and a friendly staff that's always ready to help you find what you need. Stop by Fairway Meat Market today to plan your weekly meals in the Rockledge Square Shopping Center, just south of 84th and Van Dorn.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100, and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
Looking for a financial partner that truly makes a difference? Modern Woodman is a member-owned fraternal financial services organization. We can help you plan for all stages of life, from protection to saving to retirement. We also offer member benefits, social activities, and volunteer opportunities to help your family and community.
I'm Sean Erickson, your Modern Woodman representative in Lincoln. Call me at 402-483-6515 to start the conversation.
Modern Woodman of America, touching lives, securing futures.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Infrastructure, a veteran-owned local company proudly serving Lincoln, Lancaster County, and the surrounding areas. Bauer provides quality work at an affordable price, and they're growing rapidly. If you want to experience a career with a fast-paced, family-friendly environment, visit BauerInfrastructure.com. They have top-of-the-line benefits, year-round work, even through the winter. Bauer, usher in the new era of infrastructure to an area near you. And as always, go Big Red!
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call Patriot Plumbing at 402-464-7411 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-464-7411.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins'. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
At Planet Fitness, we're declaring it. This is the year of getting stronger. And future stronger you can get started now by saving $28 or more when you join today. You in? We have all the best-in-class equipment you could ever need to keep stepping it up. And free fitness training to help you mix up your routine. Plus, most clubs are open 24 hours. So let's do this. Join Planet Fitness today and save $28 or more. Just $1 down, $15 a month, cancel anytime. Deal ends February 28th. See Home Club for details.
In every office, there's two types of people. There are those who bring in bagels and those who eat the bagels that someone else brought in. Everybody likes the first person. Be that first person. Weekday mornings at 7:30, you have a chance to win a business box of bagels from Bagels & Joe. All you have to do is shut up, Sipple. 2 questions for you, 2 for Sip. Win, and the bagels are yours. Lose, well, you don't want to lose.
You lost Monday, you lost Wednesday, you're a loser.
Shut up, Sipple. Weekday mornings at 7:30, brought to you by Bagels & Joe.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
93.7 The Ticket Sports News go now.
I'm Enrique Alvarez-Clary. Nebraska softball continues their torrid start to the season with 5 run rule victories in their 5 games at the Troy Cox Classic in New Mexico. They won their 5 games by a combined score of 69-9, including 2 shutouts and a no-hitter courtesy of Jordy Ball. Nebraska is up to 24 home runs in 10 games, led by Wisconsin transfer Ava Cusack with 8. She tied a Huskers record with 3 versus Montana and had 9 total in her 52 games with the Badgers last year. Next up for the Huskers, the Mary Nutter Collegiate Classic in Cathedral City, California. They open that tournament up with Baylor on the 20th at 4:30. Nebraska men's basketball had their largest comeback in nearly 30 seasons as they came back from down 20 points to beat Northwestern on the road 68-64. This is the Huskers' 5th road win this season and their 5th in their last 6 games. Bryce Williams had 21 points and 3 steals, while Jawan Gary was close behind with 17 points, going 7 for 7 from the free throw line. Nebraska men's basketball faces Penn State in State College on the 19th at 5:30 on the Big Ten Network. 23rd ranked Nebraska baseball began their season down in Arizona and are off to a 2-1 start with a 10-5 loss to UC Irvine, followed by a 6-4 win over number 16 Vanderbilt and a 13-0 win over San Diego State. Nebraska baseball takes on Grand Canyon at 2 p.m. today, and that game can be seen on ESPN Plus and heard on the Huskers radio network.
Roderick set. Here's the pitch. Line drive towards second. Caden Brumbaugh there. He squeezes the line drive. And on a night filled with emotion, honoring our leader, Greg Sharp, with his eyes on the diamond and his hands on our shoulders, Nebraska takes down 16th ranked Vanderbilt 6-4. Sharpie, that one is for you.
The upset victory over Vanderbilt on Saturday, February 15th came with an added bit of motivation and emotion, as it was announced that longtime voice of Nebraska football and baseball, Greg Sharp, had passed away on Friday. Sharp had been the voice for football and baseball since 2008 and was recently recognized as the 2024 Nebraska Sportscaster of the Year, as well as being honored with the Greg Sharp radio booth inside Memorial Stadium. In a statement, the Sharp family said, quote, "While the public knew him for his booming voice and infectious personality, those closest to him knew him for his loyalty and dedication to them. Over the last 12 months, Greg has fought a very public battle with pancreatic cancer. Even though it was a grim diagnosis at the time, Greg chose to live and not to fear." End quote. He was 61.
This is On the Block with Stricken Austin. Nebraska Basketball Hall of Famer and 9-year NBA vet, Eric Strickland. Nebraska Football Hall of Famer, Jay Foreman. Middle school basketball coaching legend and Duke basketball shooting coach in his mind, Austin Orman. Coming at you live from the heart of Lincoln, America. On air and online at theticketfm.com. Presented by NEPCO. This is On the Block.
Welcome in. This is On the Block, hour 2 of a snowy Monday show. Hope you are warm. Hope you are safe. If you are listening to us on the roads, we will do our best not to make you spit out your coffee, swerve, hit a curb, or anything. Worse, I'm Austin Orman. Joining me now, Jay Foreman. E-Strick done for the day. Jay, thanks for coming in, subbing in off the bench. Good to see you.
Yeah, man. That's, it's like a relief pitcher.
Oh, yeah.
Speaking of that, the Huskers ain't represented on the baseball diamond this weekend. Fitting.
That it is. They're in a dogfight right now with the Antelopes of Grand Canyon. It's 1-1, bottom of the 8th. Luke Broderick now entering the game. The Lopes have runners on first and second with 1 out. Nebraska's 4th game of the weekend, looking to go 3-1 down there. Interesting weekend for Husker baseball. Obviously, the Greg Sharp news. Disaster of a first game. They melt down, 8 runs allowed with 2 outs, bounce back and beat a really solid, perpetually good Vanderbilt team and then an NCAA team last year in San Diego State. Pretty successful opening weekend so far.
Yeah, they've it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And obviously, when you haven't played any games and you're kind of doing simulation games, I'm assuming, back here now, obviously you get down there maybe a day or two early. You're not as sharp as you'd like to be dealing with expectations, and just the first one coming out the gate. You got to think they were the opponent was just as prepared for you as you were trying to get for them. UC Irvine probably had a little bit more, was more acclimated to being outside, and obviously probably had more time to, get more in tune for game ready. But to come back when you got your back against the wall, number one, you're dealing with embarrassment. Number two, you're dealing with letting yourself down. Number three, ghosts of the past, and that's just natural. And then you got to tee it up again, knowing that you're not at home. You're not going to be able to have a home field advantage or anything like that. You're down there, and you didn't even play close to what you thought you were going to play, and then
and it's against a premier program in the country.
Exactly. So then you could have that defeatist attitude. But you know what? This. When a coach tells you that this is a different team mentally and all that, victories like Vanderbilt, backing it up against San Diego State, hopefully able to battle and pull out 3-1 weekend, against Grand Canyon if they're able to pull through. Those are things that you can, look back upon and draw upon and get true, I call it tangible, confidence from, and because you actually went out there and did it, and then you earned something versus, we beat this team, then, they beat this team, or we lost to this team, but we only lost by a couple runs. None of that kind of, putting,
try to finagle your way into positive signs
and lie to yourself. This is actually, we went out and beat some teams, especially in Vanderbilt. That they are going to come ready. They are well old machine as far as the program. They come with cachet per se, and Nebraska's able to beat them, and how they beat them too. And then obviously with the Greg Sharp news, that just, that's everybody. I mean, the one thing about Greg, and obviously we'll move on to his sports, is that, he was just a great dude, and he was, I would say solid. He's trustworthy. He when he talked to you, he was present. Obviously being here since like 2007, 2008, his stature started to obviously grow, never changed. Very welcoming and humble, and would give advice when called upon, and also would return phone calls when needed too, and never shied away from, helping people that, were trying to get to potentially where he's at. He never was, so ego driven that he wouldn't, lend a helping hand, because I think he probably never forgot where he came from. And so when you're obviously, the news that first came that, he had cancer, then it just, just thinking like, it does, he doesn't deserve it. But for him to, his fight's not over, because look, his name is going to live forever. How he's impacted people is going to live forever. And how he's also going to impact people that know, or that will come across the people that he's impacted. So he's a legend. And so he, it's just kind of just a different way, even though he isn't here physically, spiritually he's there.
That he is. Let's move on. Some college football news as well. Not really news, I guess, but The Athletic graded the 27 college football coaching hires. Will at the very least start with the power conference jobs here. And they go here by letter grade. Jay, the first grade they give out is to West Virginia, who they award with an A grade for hiring, or should I say rehiring, Rich Rod. I still am not completely sold on that one. I don't know if I would have given that one an A. I get it, but I don't at the same time. Where are you at with that one?
I'm up in there and wait and see. I mean, I think I understand why. And also I think that, Rich Rod to go down, I think he was at Jacksonville State, make them competitive. Obviously his time at Michigan was not very good. Arizona was so. And I think he programmed himself and I think for where West Virginia is at, I think he's a good hire. And I think with the expansion of the Big 12 with some new teams, I think he will do well from his experience of doing more with less in Jacksonville. I don't know. I don't necessarily know if it's an A, but it could be.
At least a passing grade.
Yeah. Oh, definitely a passing grade. Yeah. I think he would have to try harder at failing this time, when whatever those expectations are, then not. Now, it won't be easy because you're still in Morgantown, but I still think he still carries enough weight. I think he put together a little bit better staff than maybe he had before. And after that, then you just got to coach. And I think I think he's a pretty good coach.
The other reunion hits a little closer to home. Scott Frost, hired or rehired by Central Florida. Here's the paragraph. This was so weird. Yes, Frost led the Knights to one amazing season in 2017, but that was before he went to Nebraska, and with significantly more resources and recruiting cachet, went 16-31 and was fired 3 games into his 5th season. UCF was also in the AAC when Frost last coached there. Now it's a Power 4 program. You'd think his 10-26 Big Ten record would raise flags. That and the fact he was not in much demand in the 2 years since his firing. The Athletic gives Scott Frost and UCF's reunion a grade of a D.
Hey. I think that I think. Well, I'm hoping, right? I mean, I guess every year it seems like I say things. I'm never gonna wish any ill will on a coach and let alone a former teammate.
Mm-hmm.
I think his time here, it's the big what if or like the big miss, I guess, or whatever you want to. I don't know, whatever people want to say. There's plenty of blame to go around. And hopefully hopefully he's recognized what maybe he could have done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
in a place he's more comfortable.
In a place that he's more comfortable. You're a little bit obscure. You're just blended in. Expectations are significantly lower. And if you recognize some of the things that you could have done better, now there's plenty of things that didn't go your way. COVID, not having the first game, injuries, all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine.
Tough schedule,
wrong timing. And those are things that would stop any coach from having success, especially with coming off from Mike Riley and trying to reprogram the program and players. That's factual.
Mm-hmm.
You would have to come, to be able to not have a winning program, guys that really weren't welcoming, maybe working hard, and then just be off for like a year, hit or miss, and then trying to play against ready-made pro. No, it would have had to been really special group of kids. So that's for sure. As long as he recognized in these last 2 years of what he could have done better, both as a coach and how he treated people, then when he goes, then that won't be a D. That will be whatever the circumstances will be like, okay, well, now they're in the Big 12. This is significantly harder conference competition, top to bottom. That will be the grade versus other things. And what's funny is one of my ex-teammates, a great friend of mine, his son actually played at Miami. Originally, Daryl Porter Jr. originally was at West Virginia, and he transferred to Miami because that's where he's from. And Daryl Porter Sr. Is he's down there in the school at Fort Lauderdale State, St. Augs or whatever, where Mike Irvin and he coached Patrick Surtain Jr. and Patrick Surtain Sr. was on the staff until he started going to his professional coaching career. And he sent me a text, and Frosty came in his office. He's like, he's a totally different dude. Seems like he's more relaxed and stuff, and he's interested to see how he does, how he's going to do. He won't be there for 2 years. Ideally, he's going to have to get in there and grind it out and rebuild those relationships with high school coaches. So, I think it's all right there in front of him. I think, for him, hopefully he learned, going and kind of being a grunt work, I guess. I think maybe that what he was doing out there with Sean McVay. And yeah, he definitely obviously was not on the top of their list. That's fine. But at the end of the day, he got a call. He picked it up. He got the head coaching job. It's not a charity hire or anything like that.
No.
And you know what, to be honest with you, a lot of the coaches that get hired after, once you're past like the Bamas, and let's even throw Nebraska in there, but just those type of plays, you're not the first choice because generally they're shooting big and they tried to shoot big. So, the Nebraska thing probably until he rectifies it will kind of be there with him. And just like the UCF stuff was with him when he was there in Nebraska. And so, the one thing about Scott is it's always it's up to him. And that's the great thing, but that's the hardest thing. And so, I think he'll do better than a D down. I'd be very surprised that if he ends up not being somewhat successful down there.
I would have given Rich Rod a B and Frost a C.
Yeah, that's fine.
That's
fine
what I
with
would have
that.
done. I mean, maybe even him out a little bit.
Yeah,
more.
I would even do
B minus.
both of them at C pluses or both of them at C's. I think they're both right along there. You're both the both same scenarios, right?
Mhm.
Just kind of
Same conference
same
now.
conference. It's redoing it again. Had a really Rich Rod was there a bit longer before, but you're trying to rekindle the past success, and they both come with different history from where they were before. Now, obviously, Rich Rod had 2 jobs prior.
Yeah.
And so I think I give them both a C, both of them C plus maybe.
The other interesting part to me about UCF is going from Gus Malzahn to Scott Frost, right? 2 offensive-minded guys. And I wonder if that's part of this grade, is how deep into conversations with any other coaches did UCF go after, right? If Scott Frost wasn't their first choice, who else did they reach out to? Because UCF is not at the height of its popularity. I would say it's still riding that wave right into the Big 12. No, it hasn't been a great last couple of years. But I wonder if part of this grade is more of a knock on UCF's process than anything. Because on the one hand, I could see UCF maybe shooting for the stars, shooting a little bit bigger, trying to get, maybe a younger Gus Malzahn or whatever, right? An established coach whose name who's looking for his resurrection, his comeback, whatever.
Yeah, weren't they looking for Lincoln Riley or something? Didn't they?
I never believed that.
Right.
I thought that was just a marketing ploy,
I think this grade might be more on the assumption that they have been lazy. Hey, let's put it out there that we're going for Lincoln Riley and I don't know who are the other guys, and then they settle. Then they get Scott Frost, so it looks like you're settling, where you didn't maybe interview like a Barry Odom or try to get a Barry Odom or some of those kind of middle, those type of guys, or you didn't go try to get Brom or somebody from Louisville. You didn't try to do something like that.
Did you just try to skate by? Just get your homework in, right under the deadline.
Right.
You bring up Barry Odom. I'm glad you went there because that's where I wanted to go next as well. He gets an A-. Purdue gets an A- for their hiring of Barry Odom. Here's the paragraph on that. After whiffing badly on first-time head coach Ryan Walters, Purdue was smart to bring in a coach with 6 years experience. And while his Missouri tenure was mixed, he just engineered a remarkable turnaround at longtime doormat UNLV, which went to back-to-back Mountain West title games and finished ranked for the first time in school history. That will come in handy at rebuilding Purdue.
Right.
Not that Purdue ever has a lot of options, Jay. But now, after last year, Purdue can see that little old doormats in the Big Ten have a path to the college football playoff. It is their in-state football rival, their in-state basketball rival, their mortal enemy, Indiana.
Yeah.
That in year one, under an exciting coach in Kurt Cignetti, turned it around from 2-10, 3-9 to a college football playoff berth. I don't think Odom's that good. I think that's going to be more of a slow climb. But if Indiana can do it, did Purdue even try to do it?
That's probably what got Ryan Walters fired faster than anything.
Right.
And that's the worst thing you could do. Winners focus on winning. Losers focus on what winners are doing. And we'll see what Cignetti does. I think with Ryan Walters, I think he was dead man walking from the time he got the job, right? Where he wasn't their first choice. They hired him. He was a young and upcoming coach. Don't tell me about experience. You knew he was inexperienced before he took the job. But his experience of being a coordinator in leadership got him the job. I hate when people say that.
Yeah.
I hate that
it's talking out of both sides of their mouth.
But coaching more than anything is the person.
Yeah. And the personality.
Right. Because every coach learns. I mean, if you Nebraska hired Coach Osborne, he had never been a head coach before. What are you going to just say? Well, he doesn't do well. Let's fire him. And then he didn't have experience. Well, then you hire somebody with experience. This is no different. And I'll get back to Ryan Walters. It's no different than you hear people like, oh, well, we hired Frost and Trev, so we can't hire anymore with Nebraska ties. Or when we had somebody that didn't have any Nebraska ties, then we got to hire him. Why don't you just hire the good people, period? Just hire the good people and shut up. And just sit back and let them do the job. Now, if they don't do the job, then they need to be...
Then have a conversation with them, so you can help them do their job, what they need.
Right.
And then if they're still not doing their job...
then you got to make a decision. And a lot of doing your job as a coach, you got to treat people right, and you got to do it, and you got to deal with some expectations and stuff. If you're getting paid handsomely, you're not going to be able to do whatever the hell you want. That's where people struggle. Now back to Ryan Walters. I felt like, first of all, that schedule. Hey, Jeff Braun was smart. He's like, I can get the hell up out of here. All right. You know what I mean? And then you got to think with Ryan Braun, right? Or with Ryan Walters, excuse me. Remember, he had 2 outside linebackers defense that wrecked shop against us. Both of them left NIL.
Yep. Well, one of them got drafted.
One of them got drafted, and then
Skirtin went to A&M.
Yeah, Skirtin went to A&M. So, and then this young safety probably going to be gone now too.
He's at Oregon.
Okay, exactly.
He's already there.
So, well, the other one too, right? Because he had a freshman. Maybe the freshman.
Thieneman was all freshman 2 seasons ago. He just left.
And then they had one good one this year, right? And who knows where he's at? He's probably on the way out the door. So you got to think. And then when they had a couple good receivers and a tight end that was really good, that got drafted. So all the talent left. Now, this is not making excuses. There's some things he could have done better, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, sure, but you're hiring an inexperienced coach. So ideally, while you're paying him a low head coaching salary, you're going through the bumps with him. But I think it sped up as at times they weren't very competitive. But I think they were more competitive this year, especially you look at the Oregon game before it got out of control. But Cignetti taking off was a big problem. Here's also where I have a problem with it, right? Tom Allen. I love Tom Allen, right? He didn't have financial support. Well, Cignetti comes in, you get a boost in NIL and a boost in facilities. Ryan Walters, no NIL and all that. Here comes Odom, same thing.
What do you expect to happen?
Exactly. So I think Barry Odom will do okay. I liked his tenure at Missouri. I felt like he just needed a little bit more offensive, input. More oomph there, more emphasis. He was a heck of a player. He was a good player at Missouri. And he brought that tough as nails, and I think he's gonna do the same thing. And as long as he gets the support, he'll do well. I think those jobs like Purdue and Indiana are harder jobs. Well, actually, I would say this: they're easier jobs as long as the expectations match the support. If you're gonna have low expectations, then you gotta assume you get low support. Now, if they're giving big support, then that's got to be a little bit better, but you got to let
big is relative to their standing in college football.
Exactly. And big is also up to their NIL or whatever. And so we shall see. I think he'll do okay. I mean, I think one thing, they're going to be tough.
Yeah.
And so that right there, and I think he can recruit. So I think he'll do okay.
But Wake Forest gets a B+ for hiring Jake Dickert from Washington State. Washington State gets a B for replacing Dickert with South Dakota State's head coach, Jimmy Rogers.
I like that.
Jimmy Rogers one?
I like that. He got some swag with him. He's young. He wanted that job. I think that was probably the best hire for them, considering that they're out there in the abyss. And it's no
talk about being in the vortex.
Yeah, but it's natural for South Dakota State. It's not a huge jump in as far as who they're going to play talent wise. They're going to have more support. I like that he's bringing most of the staff. I like that hire as much or as more than all the other ones.
John and Cortland, appreciate you chiming in on our Starter Heyman Jewelers text line. Just another minute or two here in this segment, Jay. The last power conference hire we have to get to, North Carolina. They, according to The Athletic, get a C. That's what it is. Here's the rationale. I think it's Stuart Mandel who is writing this, says, I've been empathetic that the splashiest hire of the year was a bad idea. Rarely has an NFL hire found success in college, and 6 rings or not, Belichick is the most extreme example. Yet, I'm sure he'll be phenomenal at the X's and O's, but that's such a small part of a college coach's job.
Yeah, I'd have to look at his staff. I know his son's the defensive coordinator. I know they have Lombardi as their GM. I like him. I think they'll be able to have an eye for talent. I think he'll be able to coach. Now,
here's what we got for
how
Bill
he
Belichick.
does recruiting is going to be it. But I also think he's just going to be able to go in the portal.
Okay, defensive coordinator Steve Belichick, like you said. Offensive coordinator Freddie Kitchens.
Okay.
Former NFL guy. QB's coach Matt Lombardi. Running backs coach Natrone Means. Offensive line coach Will Friend. Wide receivers coach Garrick McGee. Defensive line coach Bob Diaco. Defensive backs coach Armand Hawkins. Defensive assistant Brian Belichick. Special teams assistant Mike Prefer. Yes, defensive line coach Bob Diaco. You stopped dead in your tracks when I said that name.
Do that staff one more time. Okay, so you got Steve Belichick, Freddie Kitchens.
Yes.
I like those.
QB's coach Matt Lombardi.
Okay.
Running backs coach Natrone Means.
I like Means business too. He was cold-blooded.
Okay.
And he's a homeboy from North Carolina.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Offensive line coach Will Friend.
Okay. I don't know him.
Receivers coach Garrick McGee.
I like that.
Defensive line coach Bob Diaco.
Next.
Defensive backs coach Armand Hawkins.
I like that.
Defensive assistant safeties coach Brian Belichick.
Okay, yeah.
And then special teams assistant Mike Prefer.
I like that. Now, they're all, I'm telling you, that's a good staff.
You mentioned the analysts as well.
Oh, let me see those.
Caleb Pickrell, Corey Gaynor, Ty Nichols, and Jamie Collins.
I don't know. Oh, Jamie Collins.
Jamie Collins.
The linebacker.
I assume so.
Yeah,
Yes.
see? What'd I tell you? What'd I tell you? See, Austin?
That Jamie Collins.
Oh, yeah.
That's the one?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, what'd I tell you? I'm telling you right now, the best thing you can do as a staff, as a head coach, I'm not telling anybody what I'm saying. I'm just telling you where it's going. When you find guys, doesn't matter how the age or whatever, because Warren Sapp, he's older than me, right? He's got to be 50-something, right?
I think, yeah. There's no way he's not.
You get these guys, right? Marshall Faulk, those guys, they can add to your staff without stepping on toes and making people feeling queasy about having that type of experience. Number one, they speak the language.
Yeah.
Number two, they will be hellified recruiters. Number three, they will plug holes in your things willingly. And number four, you're getting more, but you're getting essentially less is more. They're not having to recruit. They recruit here in a great atmosphere. I'm telling you right now, as much as you got the two Belichicks and everybody else, that Jamie Collins hire is going to be great. The nature of means, I think Bill Belichick will do okay. The only thing I know Bill Belichick a little bit. I think, and here's what I will say. I think what you see on TV is not what you see. I think he'll be a good enough recruiter. And I don't think he'll just lay out the 6 rings. What I think he'll do is they'll come in, they'll develop guys, they'll help them like be better like people, like, you know what I mean? On and off the field, they'll hold them accountable, and then he'll be able to just lay out, okay, we found this person from Waterbury, Connecticut, and now he's getting drafted. We found this dude here, and we develop him. You're next. And then you got a ton of, I'm telling you, North Carolina's got a ton of money. And they got a ton of, and as long as they get the support, and I think Bill Belichick will push that, they'll be fine.
Kip says, such a clickbait rating, A+ higher. I don't like Belichick that much, but put some respect on his name. And David from Renew says he will be taking his girlfriend to all recruiting trips. Here's the thing, David. Number one, you got to be careful. Number two, is she a accountable recruiter? You got to watch out for that. You don't want to run afoul of NCAA
what
laws.
her recruiting rating is? Is she a closer? Yeah.
Is she a closer? We know Belichick can recruit. Can the girlfriend?
Hey, man.
Maybe leave that as a non-campus recruiter. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or is it safer to bring her on the road instead of make her non-campus?
Well, I'm sure she'd probably be able to get other people to help recruit, like what are they, hostess or whatever.
Right.
Yeah. Especially in the portal.
Hey.
Yeah.
TBD.
We'll see. Yeah, I know, right? I think he'll do okay. And then also, here's what I think it'll be good. I don't know about A+. I think he'll do well because of the state of the ACC.
Yeah.
I think
it's there.
I think it's there right for the picking. So
tend to agree.
Yeah.
Let's go to break. When we get back, the top 16 teams, according to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee, were revealed on Saturday. We'll break that down as we continue on the block here, sponsored by NEPCO.
Download our app by searching for 93.7 The Ticket in your app store to stay in touch and listen all day wherever you are. More of On the Block next on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Salt Mine City is not only Lincoln's newest brewery, but they're also now serving food. Enjoy a full menu of great items daily for lunch and dinner, like their peanut butter and jelly burger with bacon and cheddar cheese, or a Reuben sandwich served on Blackstone rye bread. Don't forget their beef or chicken nachos with guacamole, sour cream, jalapenos, and more. Wash it down with one of their 12 beers on tap, including the popular Single Axle Light American Lager. Salt Mine City, now open 11 a.m. every day but Mondays at 8th and R.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
93.7 The Ticket, Fox, KFXL weather. Sponsored by John Henry's Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Your Lincoln forecast for today: snow likely throughout the day. It'll be breezy and cold with a high of just 6 above. Tonight, chance of snow. It'll be cold, a low of 7 below. And tomorrow, snow likely throughout the day with continued cold temperatures, a high of just 1 above. I'm meteorologist Kyle Tucker for 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
Bundle up, bring your crew, and make this winter one for the books with Bachfest at Beer House. Enjoy winter brews that will tangle with your taste buds, polka dancing, games like Hammerschlagen, Stein Stamina, and much more. Bach beer will be flowing, and sausages and pretzels will be available for purchase. Doors open at 11 a.m., and the party goes outside until 6 p.m. before moving inside. VIP tickets are $75, but just $5 gets you in the door. Buy your tickets today at beerhousene.com for this Saturday's Bachfest.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
When you need a new water heater, nothing beats the ProLine family of water heaters from A.O. Smith. ProLine models are built using commercial-grade components, meaning they're built to help you tackle your toughest days. No matter if you need a gas or electric model, A.O. Smith has a ProLine unit for you. A.O. Smith, innovation has a name. Call John Henry's at 402-435-5555 for a great deal on a water heater today. Again, that's 402-435-5555.
Be sure to check out the top-selling Recomp. Recomp helps build lean muscle and strength while decreasing body fat. Recomp is ideal for men and women of all ages trying to look their best. Recomp can only be found in Nutrition Authority. For info, visit mynutritionauthority.com.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust. Member FDIC.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
We're back here during On the Block. This segment sponsored by Heartland of Nebraska Windows. Really appreciate them and everything they do here for the show. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is based out of Hallam, Nebraska, and they offer a free estimate, full window replacements, all vinyl triple pane windows, and a lifetime warranty on everything while still keeping their prices affordable. Heartland of Nebraska Windows is locally and family owned. They've got their own team of installers as well. Give them a call today for more info at 402-430-3852 or visit them online at heartlandofnebraskawindows.com. All right, Jay, top 16 seeds according to the NCAA Tournament Selection Committee. Your 4-1 seeds: Auburn, Alabama, Duke, Florida. Not a lot of surprises there. Those are the 4 teams that I had in that order. But how about SEC basketball, man? Out of pretty much nowhere over the last 3 or 4 years. That's a freaking wagon.
Man, it's legit though too.
Mhm.
They have some tournament success. You got to think teams like South Carolina's formidable, Mississippi State's formidable. We haven't even talked about Tennessee,
Vandy.
And listen, if Arkansas can get, well, first of all, before we say Arkansas, Kentucky,
yeah,
right. So we're 7-8 deep now, and then you think about Arkansas essentially pulling the wagon, right, and Arkansas is going to be a problem next year. Not this year, but next year.
Well, South Carolina is 0-12 in the SEC, but number 80 in KenPom.
Yeah.
That's insane.
And that's the thing. You can be a good team, but just lose. we forgot Texas A&M.
That's a 2 seed.
Right. And they Buzz was just talking about how they won over the last 11 games. I think 12 was the one that they just had. So 12 games. And so prior to that, it was like a matter, like a plus minus or the point differential of like 4 points.
Yeah.
So if you're on the bad end of that, you're, looking at like South Carolina. If you're on the middle of that or the upper end, you're Texas A&M. There's not big difference. And you got to think, I was just watching TV. I saw Oates, the coach of Bama, talking about what they got coming down the pipe.
Yeah.
I mean, and these aren't just, and the thing, here's the difference between SEC basketball this year versus football. I think a lot of the teams, as we saw, got ranked a lot higher than they probably should have preseason. So they're able to ride that throughout the season.
Yeah.
Right? These teams are legit.
And they're earning it throughout the year.
And let me tell you something. Florida's a problem. Yeah.
No, I trust me. I know. I agree.
They got size. They got speed. They can score. They got attitude.
Their coach is a numbers guy, so he's giving them the little advantages
The
on
coach
the periphery.
is a numbers guy. And that,
And he got cleared.
That's what I was just about to say. For them to be that good, for that coach to be, and then he just chilling.
Yeah.
Now, a suspect, now, he's still up there, but, whatever is whatever, right? But they're a problem, man, quietly. And one of their really good players transferred to Mississippi State from last year. Kugel.
Who was going to go to Kansas. So there's a logjam.
He was at Kansas, then the logjam, and then he ended up at Mississippi State. And so that lets you know the depth of talent and development was there, too. I think he was their second or third
guy.
For Florida, leading scorer.
Yeah. For an NCAA tournament team last year. You mentioned that Alabama schedule. They go to number 15 Missouri on Wednesday.
We didn't even mention Missouri.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who didn't win a game in the SEC last year.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And now they're number 15 in the country. Then Alabama will host number 17 Kentucky, host number 21 Mississippi State, head to Knoxville to take on Tennessee, number 6, host number 2 Florida, and then Iron Bowl Part 2 on the road at Auburn to end the regular season.
You can win all those games or lose all of them and be just as happy going 50-50.
Right. It's
crazy. Yeah. I mean, you're going to be battle tested. You're going to be ready. It's kind of like the Big Ten from a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Sometimes you can essentially shoot all your bullets in your gun for regular season and then in the conference tournament. Then you get to the big tournament where it really means something and you're out of gas.
2 seeds are Tennessee and A&M at 5 and 6. Then Purdue and Houston at 7 and 8. Those are the 2 teams that fascinate me the most, Jay. Purdue, I have no idea how they're this good. Like, Braden Smith is a wizard. Really good basketball player. And that's a bunch of who even knows. That's really what it is. There's no Edie. Fletcher Lawyer's just kind of out there. CJ Cox is kind of coming on, I guess, off the bench a little bit. Purdue is kind of the platonic ideal for what Iowa always wanted to be, I think, doing it with 1 star and a half, maybe if you count Kaufman-Wren. I don't know how Purdue's that good, but the team that scares me the most is Houston because they don't have the upper level wins to match. They're starting to pick a few up in Big 12 play. Just went on the road and beat Arizona over the weekend. Houston's going to make another Final Four before too long. They're going to be a trendy pick. People might write them off. I'm not writing Houston off. That is a legit program, not just team under Kelvin.
I got my man Ramon Walker. I used to call him Money Walker Jr., who's their 6th man. He averages, I think, like about 7 points, about 6'6", 205, and he's a 3-level score. The difference, his dad, Money told me, he said this year they can shoot.
Yeah.
That's when you in trouble. So getting off the bus, they defending and rebounding. They used to have to be like kind of Texas A&M was against us last year. Throw it up off the glass, off the backboard, and then offensive rebound you to death, and then just wear you out. Oh no, they hitting you deep from threes now. So that they can
body blow, they can finesse,
and they're catching the rhythm. Yeah. It's a problem. I'm telling you. Calvin Sampson got ran out of Indiana because sending some text messages like a day or two during the dead period. Just imagine
literally
just now, and probably gave a guy a sandwich or something.
Maybe.
Yeah, and now they got you got dudes up there making a couple $1 million. I bet you Indiana wish they kept him, but they're definitely a problem.
But would Kelvin Sampson have been the same coach without going through that? Would he be at the level he's at right now? You hate to say he wouldn't be. I mean, that's a darn good basketball coach.
I think he's just cold blooded wherever he goes.
And he's about to hand it off to his son.
Yeah.
Give 5 years.
I mean, less than that. It depends on what the wife says.
Right. 3 seeds are Iowa State, Kentucky, Wisconsin, and Arizona. Iowa State's kind of played its way down over the last couple weeks. Kentucky's just weird. They've been really banged up, have some upper-level wins. I don't know what to make of them. Wisconsin is a surprise for me, Jay. I have been preying on that program's downfall for the better part of a decade now. I hate the way they play basketball.
Even this year?
But damned if they don't figure it out year after year, and it pisses me off.
You don't like the way they play this year?
They're better now, but they still play two big guys together. And they found a way to make it work. I don't like it, but it works.
I like them this year versus any other year.
I hate that they're led by a Nebraska guy again.
I know.
Tanjay's cold-blooded.
Yeah, Tanjay's
cold-blooded.
cold-blooded.
Talk about cold-blooded.
And Big Walls, number 22, he's representing Minneapolis to the fullest.
He's gone.
Or
it's
not,
Crowell and Winter.
Or Crowell. They're all them dudes.
They're the same.
But they're all from like right on the border of Wisconsin and Minnesota. Big old Vikings.
Every time.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't like Iowa State and Kentucky. I really don't like the way Iowa State's playing. Kentucky.
Don't like how they play or the way they're playing?
The way they're playing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So I stand corrected. Kentucky, like I said, injuries. I think with Pope being there, I think it really started off like good. I think they're very, very young, like inexperienced. I think if they have to get the right seed in the right kind of region to make a run.
Yeah.
Because they could be a problem, but if they face even like a Purdue or something that's just turnkey, know how to play, they got experience, they're tough, can shoot your lights out when they get hot, as we saw, up close and personal, they could, face an early exit. They're more set. I feel like Kentucky could be set up for a first or second round upset based on for different reasons.
Different factors.
Yeah. Different factors. And, but I think if that does happen to them this year, I think they won't happen again while Pope's there. I like Pope though. I like him better than I thought I would.
Yeah.
As a coach.
People underrated that hire. That was a really good one.
Right.
They did it for all the right reasons, not just because he was an alum. It worked out. Let's get to the 4 seeds. We'll go to break because we have a really good question on the text line I want to wrap us up with here in the last segment. 4 seeds are Texas Tech, Michigan, Kansas, and St. John's. Tech is kind of a machine, kind of a wagon. They're good. Michigan, I'm curious to see how the end of the regular season goes for them. Kansas is in trouble. But you still don't want to play them in the NCAA tournament because of Bill Self and their experience.
Yeah.
St. John's is such a wild card to me, Jay. I, again, loathe the way they play. They are long. They are athletic. They're the team that throws the ball at the backboard, goes and gets it.
Yeah.
But darn if they are not winning again. Pitino has pushed all the right buttons so far this year. I think Kansas is in danger of dropping out. I think St. John's is in danger of dropping out. But I don't want to play either of those two teams.
No, I think Kansas would. I'd probably be more worried about playing Kansas because you do have Hunter Dickinson emphasized on the first 4 letters of his last name by the way of Michigan. And they have
by the way of DeMatha.
But he's representing B-More though.
He
as
is.
a homeboy. So
He
changed when he went to Michigan. So he's no longer from DeMatha anymore, right?
He disowned it.
Right. That's why I'd be more worried about that and Bill Self. Because eventually getting ready, honing in on the defensive side with the 7-footer that knows how to pass out of a double team. And he played like he played good against Utah, but he couldn't make anything. That's just a one-off. St. John's, I think, with Rick Pitino, they'll just be running on fumes. They first rounding out.
Kind of Tibbs-ish.
Yep. I like Rick Pitino, but I just think he just grinds on people. And he just seems like he just grinds. Hey, but I like the way they play. And they physical though, man.
Oof.
That number 21, the power forward. I mean, he's 6'9", 255 pounds.
Oh, built.
Yeah. Like he needs to be thinking about going in the supplemental draft for the pros. Antonio
Mo Alley Cox 2.0.
Hey, you can make a lot of money doing that, man. You when you leading the break at 255.
Shoo.
You think twice. Was Georgia got that big old dude that was a freshman that's a 7-footer playing tackle?
Yeah, that's right.
You got to make business decisions.
Sooner or later, young man.
You learn how to kick step.
Do it for the career.
Yeah. All you got to do is block him for 3 seconds. You paid $30 million.
Sign me up.
Yep.
Old Dad 34. So how the heck did the SEC get so good in basketball so fast? Let's answer that to wrap up On the Block.
Follow Austin Strick and On the Block on Twitter at Austin Orman, eStrick20, and On the Block 93.7. More of On the Block coming up.
Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services is here to help you protect things that are most important to you. Whether it's your home, your family, or your future, Jack Russell has the proven experience to get the job done while developing authentic relationships with you. Give Jack a call today at 402-421-9100. Again, that's 402-421-9100, and learn how you can excel in the complicated world of insurance. Jack Russell of Farm Bureau Financial Services, a trusted and well-respected representative since 1999.
What's going on, fans? This is Lexi Rodriguez, 4-time All-American at Nebraska and now proud member of Omaha's newest professional team, Love Omaha Volleyball. League One Volleyball is bringing the heat this year. Don't miss your chance to see Olympians, national players, and national champions right here in Omaha from now through April. We can't wait to see you cheering us on in the stands. Visit lovboma.com to buy single match tickets to see me and Love Omaha Volleyball in action this season. Go Big Green!
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance, we're looking for talented individuals just like you. Apply today at sandhills.jobs and take the first step towards an exciting future. That's sandhills.jobs. Don't wait, apply now.
Load up on meat and more this winter at the Mercado by Certified Piedmontese. This week's special through February 18th is 15% off chocolates, 15% off wines and spirits, and $10 off filet mignon per pound. Locations at 84th and Havelock, 30th and Yankee Hill, and now 85th and Old Cheney in Lincoln, or 168th and Maple in Omaha. Get to the Mercado today for the best meat in town.
Davis Plumbing has been in business for over 15 years and is currently searching for journeyman plumbers to join their team. Experience is preferred, but not required for all applicants. When you join the team at Davis Plumbing, you'll receive full benefits package with paid time off. Join a small local business doing big things in Lincoln and surrounding areas. Apply today by calling 402-525-6922 or find them on social media. Davis Plumbing, locally owned and operated for over 15 years.
This is Bill Mitchner, Executive Director of Lincoln Lighthouse. Did you know Lighthouse provides multiple programs for students such as one-on-one tutoring and mentoring, as well as pro-social skill exercises, while providing them a nourishing meal and a safe space during all months of the year, even during school breaks? Learn more or contribute to Lighthouse at lincolnlighthouse.org today.
Rosie Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road.
With UBT, you've got total control over your money. Like Doug, who runs his game day tailgate like a well-oiled machine.
I got burgers, brats, chicken, dogs, plus all the fixins. And with the UBT Go app, I can track my food spending from anywhere.
Pro move.
They don't call me Grill Sergeant for nothing.
No matter your goals, UBT helps you feel good about reaching them. Union Bank and Trust, member FDIC.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next big opportunity? Constructors is hiring. We're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. We offer competitive wages, great benefits, brand new service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for our shop and multiple field technicians. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at constructorslincoln.com.
Now back to On the Block with Eric Strickland, Jay Foreman, and Austin Orman.
One final segment of On the Block comes right here on a snowy Monday. Jay Foreman, which is colder, Nebraska cold or Minnesota cold?
Minnesota cold.
Which is worse, Nebraska snow or Minnesota snow? How do Minnesotans handle the snow? Are they pros at it?
Yeah.
Business as usual?
Yeah, business as usual.
I feel like Nebraska has a lot of wimps.
The more the merrier. I would say Nebraska's that wind in Nebraska, boy, there ain't nothing like
that hawk, right?
Yeah, that hawk is serious. But Minnesota, like I talked to my dad today, he said it's negative 24 up there.
Woo!
He's like, I'm contemplating whether I gotta go do what I gotta do today. I'm like, my answer is simple. I ain't doing nothing. But Minnesota gets a ton of snow.
Yeah.
It's up there to the north. Here's how you know Minnesota's different. I remember driving, I had to be down to Nebraska for something and leaving. Now, granted, I left at like 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. But when I left Minnesota, it was like negative 35, 36 degrees. But by the time I got to Omaha, it was 40-something degrees. It was like an 80-degree difference.
And that's
it felt
4.5, 5 hour drive.
Right. So that's the difference. You get serious cold up there.
Dang. Don't get left out in the cold. Make sure you get a chance to watch Love Volleyball Omaha with their inaugural season underway. You can see Olympians, national team players, and national champions with Love Volleyball Omaha. Season runs through April, but get your single match tickets today for their upcoming matches at lovboma.com. That's lovboma.com. We had the question from the text line here, Jay. It was from Old Dad 34. So how the heck did the SEC get so good in basketball so fast? I think there's really two main components to this. Number one is they put a bigger focus on it, right? Big Ten has some of those traditional basketball powers who've been in the sport for a while, have some pedigree, some cachet. SEC didn't really have that outside of Kentucky as the standard bearer for that league. But the SEC got serious about it. They trained their officials better. They hired better officials. They partnered with the NBA a little bit in some of that to make sure that was all on the up and up. So the SEC invested in the infrastructure behind the scenes on a league level, and that absolutely goes a long way. But the second part is just as important, if not even more important. They hired the right coaches, pretty much from top to bottom. They hired good coaches. Think about Auburn. Bruce Pearl paid, thousands of times dividends. Tennessee and Rick Barnes, again, picking up from where Bruce Pearl kind of left off at Tennessee, but Rick Barnes, established coach. Alabama hit on Nate Oates. Wasn't sold on that one coming from Buffalo. That's worked out really well for them. Florida makes the tough choice to move on from Mike White, who was okay down there. They hire an up-and-comer in Todd Golden. That's paid almost immediate dividends for them. I mean, Vanderbilt hires, get rid of Jerry Stackhouse, hires basketball Signetti, Mark Byington from James Madison.
Right.
That's paying dividends. Mississippi State, Chris Jans, paid off pretty well. Ole Miss goes and gets Chris Beard after all those issues. That's working out for him. Really the only school, Jay, that hasn't made a good hire, at least one that hasn't worked out, is LSU with Matt McMahon.
Yeah.
And LSU is a program that was in a rough spot with everything that went down with Will Wade. Compare that to, say, the ACC, who has kind of whiffed on coaches, especially when you compare it to the SEC. The ACC's lost a lot of its prestige coaches, obviously, and that's going to continue with Leonard Hamilton retiring at the end of this season. So the ACC has had quite a bit of brain drain and hasn't replaced it to the level of the SEC. And I still just think the Big Ten's kind of stuck in its ways. There aren't a lot of difference-making coaches in the Big Ten. And yes, college basketball is about players. You have maybe more access to talent in the Southeast for basketball. But Big Ten has enough national-level programs they can go wherever they want, hypothetically, and pull guys to play in a league like this. Number one, they're not consistently doing that. And number two, the coaching hires have not been on the same level as the SEC, where these kind of bottom-feeder programs become upstarts and then sustain it. So it's a huge credit to the SEC how they've hired and the fact that they've really taken their football money in a lot of ways and invested that back in obviously football, but also on the basketball side of things. That's the second biggest moneymaker.
Yeah, it is. And the thing that's crazy is that obviously, the type of athlete that they're able to recruit is really just turned up the heat on the rest of the nation. I mean, you got to think Alabama had 2 lottery picks, with back-to-back years, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of great timing, but then also the type of coaches that have ended up in certain places. You got to think Bruce Pearl, was at Tennessee before went through some issues
Mhm.
and found
He did more than Kelvin Sampson did.
Did
to be
more.
fair.
Yeah, he did a lot more than Calvin Sampson did, and really didn't do that much. But then kind of was off the beaten path for a little bit. Boom, right back in the SEC. So with his recruiting prowess, and the biggest one is when you got Rick Barnes to go from Texas to Tennessee. That kind of really spearheaded everything. Now I think Vanderbilt, obviously, with the Stackhouse thing a little bit, needed to recover, and then LSU, like you said, is the only one with Will Wade, who's actually doing really good at McNeese State now.
Mhm.
I mean, on the sneak.
I was so pissed at them for not beating Gonzaga in the first round. I think it was Gonzaga.
Yeah, it was Gonzaga.
Yeah. That was my upset pick.
Talented team, always talented. And I think that just the growth of club basketball and everything, especially down south, type of athletes and the depth of talent matches the coaches and the recruiting prowess and everything that they do down there. They pour a lot of funds in there, but it's also the support.
Mhm.
Constantly selling out every arena. You got to think just back a few years ago when Ole Miss had that guard. I think he was number 22. He's a 3-point shooter where it was upset city when you went down there and played him. Those type of stories rolled into legit coaching, legit teams. And now you're essentially every team is good. I mean, we were talking about all the great teams. We just glossed over Missouri. We forgot to mention Kentucky. You know what I'm saying?
We forgot to mention Kentucky.
Right. We forgot to mention Missouri.
Yeah.
And so that just lets you know exactly where you're at and what you're dealing with. And like I said, it's like how the Big Ten was a few years ago. The Big Ten has stayed pat with most of their coaches and their style of play. Right now, it's the SEC, and they're doing well, both depth-wise, but then also star power as well.
Shameless plug for Corner 3. Friday nights from 6 to 7 o'clock. Get into a lot more just kind of national college basketball stuff. Good on the SEC. Curious to see if they can replicate their March success from last year when Alabama broke through, made the first Final Four in program history. Auburn right now, the number 1 overall seed in the NCAA tournament if it started today. Most quad 1 wins in the country, most quad 1A wins in the country. They've got 8 in the top, essentially 25 of the net. Not many other teams even have 8 quad 1 wins, 1 through 75 in general. So props to the SEC for that. We'll see how Nebraska's season goes in the Big Ten. 5 regular season games remaining. Thanks for sticking with us here through On the Block. Thanks to Nebco for their sponsorship of the show. Check them out at Nebco Inc., NEBCOINC.com. For Strick, for Jay, I'm Austin. Old school with Foreman and Norman on the other side.
This is Lincoln's home for sports talk on the FM dial. Also online at theticketfm.com.
On the internet.
KNTK FM Firth, 93.7 The Ticket.
Are you ready for a new opportunity? Check out Sandhills Global. Join a dynamic team where your skills are valued and your career can soar. We offer full-time positions with a 4.5-day work week, competitive pay, excellent benefits, and a positive work environment. From IT and marketing to sales and finance,